are we finally squashing some beefs in this episode? Not only has Esophagus Gate been shut down, but it looks like Crystal and Annemarie finally turn a corner. Let's talk about it on this week's episode of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. The episode picks up with Crystal's medical issue. Annemarie is doing a bit of an assessment on her while they're waiting for the ambulance to arrive, and Crystal says it feels like she's having a stroke. In her confessional, Annemarie can't help but be a little petty and point out that Crystal was mocking her profession at dinner the night before, and now she's the one who has the medical background to make sure Crystal's okay. Well, touchette, Annemarie, touchette. After Crystal's taken away by the ambulance, the rest of the ladies go into the church and they light candles and say prayers for Crystal. Dorit asks if it's okay that she doesn't light a candle and just sets an intention instead because she's Jewish and doesn't pray in churches. I don't think she would have to ask permission not to light a candle or pray if she's of a different religious background. It's perfectly fine that she doesn't participate in the same way as the other ladies. We're reminded that in her previous life, Erika actually had a chapel in her home. She grew up Catholic, did all the Catholic things like baptism and confirmation, so she wanted to have a chapel at her disposal. I forgot that Erika is Catholic because she doesn't really mention anything much about her faith on the show, but I guess there really isn't many opportunities for it to come up anyway. Sutton gives a little bit of insight into her thoughts about her father's passing. From what she explains, in the Catholic religion, the thought is that if someone ends their own life, that the person will automatically end up in hell. Sutton is Presbyterian and has a different view on this and does not believe that her father is in hell and that he's actually ended up in heaven. Kyle and Sutton have a moment together in the church while they're alone. Sutton also apologizes to Kyle for not being a better friend, and they're able to take a step forward in mending their friendship. Crystal checks in with them and says she's on an IV drip, she's gotten some medication, and she'll meet up with them back at the house. So it's good to see that she's okay. As the ladies are eating lunch, they bring up the whole twist of fate with Annemarie and Crystal getting into it the night before at dinner, with Crystal taking digs at Annemarie, calling her, the nurse who says she's a doctor. However, Annemarie is still a medical professional, and she used her skills and expertise to assess and comfort Crystal as she was waiting for the ambulance to arrive to take her to the hospital. So Annemarie shares that Crystal's comments really hurt her because she takes her profession very seriously. It's a part of her and is a big part of her identity. Erika points out that given the events of the day, Crystal will most likely never make comments about Annemarie's profession again. Annemarie actually took the high road and said the most important thing is that Crystal is okay. I actually hope that Crystal does apologize to Annemarie because it would just be pretty tacky not to after Annemarie put everything aside and helped her while she was having her health issue. Garcelle brings up the Taco Tuesday dinner and how she and Dorit had a conversation about it, but she wanted to point out again that sometimes because of her life experience as a Black woman, she's triggered by certain things that are said. At first, I wasn't sure why this was brought up again, but I guess things weren't 100% resolved when she and Dorit had that tense lunch previously. Dorit explained that Garcelle's perception of her living in a bubble is not exactly what she thinks, and she's had her own experiences of being judged and scrutinized by others because of her religion. Dorit grew up in a small town where her and her family were the only Jewish people living there. She was mocked and had a lot of anti-Semitic remarks aimed at her. I'm glad that Dorit said she's not trying to compare her experience to Garcelle's, but she was just sharing that she also has had an experience, and she felt the Karen comment was an unfair characterization.
My father's Israeli. We moved when I was very young because we lived in a town where we're the only Jewish people. People were saying anti-Semitic remarks to us.
Honestly, I think it was a really good moment to share because we don't get to see much about Dorit besides the superficial fashion stuff, how much things that she buys costs and such. But it would be nice to learn a little bit more about her on a more personal human level. It was also nice to see them hugging. It came across as genuine and real. I feel like they've gotten past the little tiff that they had, and hopefully they can build a bit more of a pure relationship. When they get back to the house, Crystal is there and she lets them know that her family has a history of high blood pressure. She's had issues with her blood pressure in the past, but she didn't know that it could affect her in this way. She's super emotional and is crying. She actually hugs Annemarie quite a bit. I think she was physically expressing her gratitude because she was so scared.
Annemarie was amazing today. I really saw a really kind and generous side, and it really makes me want to move forward in our friendship and start fresh.
It's nice that Crystal said that in her confessional, but I hope that she's able to say that directly to Annemarie because I think she needs to hear that and kind of feel validated in that way. I think that will put the whole nurse-doctor conversation to bed. Listen, when she's not angry and spewing hatred, I love a drunk Erika Jane. And at this dinner party Sutton is hosting for her erudite Spain buddies, Erika is drizzunk.
14, Jesus Christ. I know you love Merce, but Merce was in a Ziploc bag. Merce is in the purse. Crystal, she's back from the dead. Brooklyn, what a dump. Oh, Lord.
It was a pleasure.
I don't care about Sutton's sophisticated friends, but Erika is making all these little quips and comments, which was probably a little embarrassing for Sutton, but highly entertaining for everyone else. But who would have thought that all this random trivial pursuit level of knowledge that Erika keeps hidden away would come out with these fancy pants guests?
I am used to dining and socializing with erudite via Tom Girardi. I have a genuine thirst just to know things, so I just asked a bunch of questions. Provided they're not stuck up and looking down at you, they're cool.
Despite not having had formal post-secondary education, Erika was able to show off that she's quite intelligent and was able to keep the conversation going much more so than the other ladies while she was drunk. We get a little scene of Garcelle meeting the other chef, who is Storm's dad, and she has totally forgotten about Storm. He's definitely much more age appropriate for her. She's pretending to be super interested in the paella he's making and basically is just cooing and trying to flirt with him. After the dinner, we get a fun little scene of Erika and Kyle showing up in Garcelle's room. They're just having a little fun, and we get to see how they interact and that they actually like each other. I feel like RHOP should take note. The episode ends with Sutton getting ready to spread Merce's ashes, and she starts to have a bit of a breakdown. Kyle checks in with her, and Sutton tells her that spreading Merce's ashes is also a symbol of her father. Sutton says that she had some of her dad's ashes left over after her family spread them in Texas, and she moved so many times that she actually lost the Ziploc bag with her father's ashes. That is so sad. You can tell she's experienced a lot of loss in her life. For her, scattering these ashes will also be like she's scattering the ashes of her marriage.
My marriage, my dad's death, and then Merce. You can't name any more 3 important men ever in my life. And I gotta let them go.
Sutton says towards the end of her marriage, she thought she and her ex could physically separate and then work through their issues in counseling while living in separate spaces. But the day after her ex moved out, he filed for divorce. She just seems like she has a lot of issues to still work through. In the clip of next episode, you can see they do a little dancing, they have another heavy conversation at dinner, and Sutton is scattering Merce's ashes. We also circle back to Kyle and Mauricio's relationship, which I am over, really. What did you guys think of the episode? I kind of felt like it was going to be a bit of a filler episode, but then I think things came to a resolution. Kyle and Sutton, Dorit and Garcelle, and also Crystal and Annemarie. It's always nice to see when the housewives can circle back and work through their differences, or else they can never move forward, which is what I think we're seeing now on this season of Potomac. That's it for this week's episode. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and we'll catch up next week. Bye.